So everybody help me welcome Stacy Rapp to the show. Hi, Stacy.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. I have no idea how I know Stacy. Like I used to live in Las Vegas, she's in Vegas. We were Facebook friends and I don't know how, but that's the beauty of social media and just like picking up all these random people and you don't know why you have them, but now I have this arsenal of these amazing people and I get to see why as time goes on. So
Yeah.
when I first interacted with you, you were in like a sales position and it looked like you were killing it. Like, my feed was just filled with like Stacy and I wanted what Stacy had because you just have this amazing energy.
Oh,
So,
thank-
do you want to just tell us a little bit about who you are and like where you were and where you're at now?
Yeah, sure. So I am Stacy. I'm 32 now. I have two boys, 7 and 9, Mason and Miles. And when I first became a mom, when I first found out about being pregnant, it was at the time essentially with a stranger. My kid's dad was a stranger at the time. It was not expected. And so I had to kind of jump into the mother role pretty fast. I was really young and really naive. I was still living with my parents. And so I had to grow up really quickly. But we ended up, we had my first child and then we ended up getting married, had my second child. And I was working at a dental office when it was just one child. I had one child and I was working in a dental office. And I've always been somebody that just wants to work for more. I've always been what's the word? I can't even think of the word. But I just wanted more. I grew up envisioning myself as like a badass businesswoman. Like really, that's what I pictured myself. But then I became a mom really young. And so I quickly changed my perspective on that. And I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I did not want to miss out on any moments. And so I found network marketing actually is where I began my adult life career, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And I was with one company for almost 9 years. And within that company, I grew I grew a lot as a person. I grew up in that company essentially. Like I was a brand new mom. I had my second child when I was there. Um, but really it was all I knew. And I was able to purchase my first home and then I did reach the top of the company, and shortly after that, I ended up getting a divorce. And so we split up in 2016, and that was the year that I was rocking my business. And so on one hand, I was killing it with being a stay-at-home mom, working from home, and all that to my relationship just completely crumbling. And so I was a single mom for quite some time. And during that time, it's just crazy how you think it's going to work out, right? I married him thinking it was going to be forever. Like I wanted my kids to have their parents together, and then it just didn't work out that way. It was not very happy. And I know it just wasn't a good thing. And so at the time, I was devastated. I was really heartbroken, but it just kind of all works out. When during that time that I was a single mom, I really did just solely focus on my business and my children. And we share custody 50-50. So every weekend, the kids are gone to their dad. And so I would take that time to really just dive into my business. And then, so it was about a year and a half of me being a single mom, just me, like not even trying to date. And then I met my now fiance, who he lived in Texas at the time. He was visiting Vegas with a buddy. You know how it goes. We thought maybe it was just like this one time thing, but we
Yeah.
ended up falling in love. And we did long distance for 2 years. And then he moved to Vegas in 2019 to be with us. And he got a job here. He's a fireman, so he works up at the base, the military base here in Vegas. But during that time when I was a single mom, and then the 2 years of long distance we did, I would say that's when I learned a lot about myself, and that the path that we think we're going to go on is actually not where we're going to go at all, but it all works out. And so it did open my mind for sure to things happening to us for a reason. We don't always exactly know that reason, but it just kind of all works out. So I was in that company, and and I really dove right into it. I was really successful. I was consistent. I was committed. I loved everything about it. Um, really loud, just like you said, like you always saw me online, just really loud about it. And then just in so in I want to say, it's still things I'm working through, right? I just left the company in May of last year, so it hasn't even been a year yet. Um, but in 2017, shortly after I had met my fiance, I was at the Route 91 concert here in Las Vegas,
Mhm.
and the shooting happened. And thank God I'm alive, I'm well, I'm here. Me and my best friend were there. Just we love country music. We were just having a good time, and then that kind of broke. That all happened, and again, just kind of shifted everything. And I fell into it. It took a while. I was in shock for some time, and I think I worked really hard to, like, used my business and work to mask these feelings I had for a while, and then I just couldn't do that anymore, and I just sort of fell into this really dark place. And I was in that dark place for about 2 years. Just recently kind of crawled my way out of it.
I want
And
to
so,
pause though. During that dark time, you were putting on this face, right, on social media of like everything is awesome and
yeah, I thought that was the only way. And so, like, I was around other women who I don't ever want to talk badly about the company I was with, because it really did. It made me who I am today, and it taught me a lot. But certain people within that company just, I think they lost the human connection, and it was more so like money, money, money. We gotta work hard, because we all, like, as a team, we skyrocketed, into the top positions. But life happened for me, and so I was trying to catch up with them still, while feeling all this stuff inside. And so, yeah, I was smiling on the outside, just trying to play the part. And I just couldn't do it anymore. That I completely went off social media for at least 2 months.
which is a huge change from where you were at multiple times a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I had an entire group of women following me, and doing what I'm doing, and I'm mentoring them, and I was their leader, and I feel like I let everyone down, but I didn't have a choice.
Do you still feel like that?
I still feel like I let them down in ways, because I'm such a communicator. My love language is communication, and I didn't do that with them. I didn't communicate fully with them. I was embarrassed. I couldn't find the words. I just kind of went MIA. And so for that, I absolutely do think that I could have done that better. Um, but I've been able to, talk to a lot of them since then, and kind of let them know what I was going through, and they all appreciate it. But
I think if you could have done better, you would have. I think that once you reached that point, all you could do was go blank.
yeah, absolutely.
I
I
just,
mean,
with dealing with shame and stuff, especially, we do the best with where we're at. We know that there's a better way, but whether or not we're capable of it is a totally different ballgame.
absolutely. Yeah. And I put on a face for about 2 years. And during that time, I knew deep down that I wasn't where I was supposed to be anymore. Like, it just was not serving me anymore. But I'm so loyal. I'm such a loyal person. If I love something, I mean, I'm shouting it from the rooftops. I'm never gonna betray. Like, that's just who I am as a person. And so I was really, really loyal to the company itself. And so it was really, really, it was a lot of turmoil inside. Like, I want to leave, but I can't, like, just all these things. And so I eventually, after going kind of MIA for a while, I came back and I actually went to Florida last January. So about a year ago, I went to Florida for the annual conference that they have for the company. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my make or break straw. Like, this is it. Either I'm going to go all in again and, do this, or I'm gone. It's no in between anymore. I'm not going to do this to myself. And so I went, and I knew right away that it just was not for me. And so I went home and did what we had to do to figure out how I was going to leave and do something else. And so during that time, my fiance and I actually started our own business. We did, he's a craftsman. And so he makes, well, he's a fireman, but he's really good in the garage making all kinds of stuff. He made our table and all sorts of things. But he made a cutting board for his mom when she was visiting. And I was like, that's really good. We should try to make this a business, because I was burnt out. I was sad. I needed something else to live for. Like, I felt like if I'm not accomplishing anything, I'm just total failure, because I've always wanted to do something. So during that time, I just sat, and I knew that God wanted me to just sit. Like, there was nothing coming that was meant for me at that time. And so I, organized the home. The home was perfect. Like, and I was filling my soul with that. I had neglected my home for so long, trying to hustle and bustle my way through all these emotions. And so I really focused on my home, and then we focused on the business. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just start it. So we started with craft shows, and we did great. And it hasn't even been a year yet that we've been doing this, but we love it, and since starting that, I got some passion again, and my mindset shifted, like, oh, I can actually do other things other than what I was doing, because I was in it for so long. I didn't think that I could do anything else. It's all I knew,
But you were
you know.
so successful at it. I mean, you made it to the top of the company in the
Mhm,
beginning and then
mhm,
stayed there.
mhm.
So it's like you learned all of these things, like you already had it in you, but yeah, applying it to something else, like I'm a bartender. And it's like, oh, that's what I know. I've done it for 20 years. But it's like the things that I can do with the skills I have learned as a bartender can apply to so many other places, but I'm still doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I learned so much, just who I am, just certain, I mean, discipline and consistency. That's something that most people lack in anything that they're doing. And so just that alone, I know I can succeed in anything I put my mind to, and I didn't feel like that when I was in the midst of this darkness and this hustle mode. I didn't know that, and so I prayed and prayed and prayed for opportunities, like, God, get me out. Like, is this where I'm supposed to be? Like, show me, show up, like, just put it in my face, for so long. And then after I left the company, I found another company that it's a little different. It's not MLM necessarily. It's more consumer goods, but I'm able to work from home as well. And when I found that, opportunities just started flooding. I mean, even this podcast, I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, I don't know if, this will be if I'll enjoy it, which I'm loving it, but I like, it's just an opportunity for me to share my story and put myself out there and do something uncomfortable. And that's what I've been asking for, and so when you're out of a place you're not supposed to be, these doors just keep opening. And that's all I've seen in the last 9 months that I've took that leap of faith.
Yeah. I love it. I love watching you. Like it feels totally normal to watch someone that's basically a stranger and like root for them and then like see their progress. And I love your vulnerability and like your openness.
Yeah.
But the same thing with the podcast. I just started learning even how to podcast in October. I took a course. And then every day it's just getting uncomfortable. It's reaching out to somebody, not knowing what they're going to say, and just be like, I feel like you have something important to share. Do you want to?
Mhm.
And I've heard some crickets, and I've heard some, not right now, but when, keep growing and I'll be back. And then, the yeses that I've gotten, it's incredible. Like,
Yeah, I
but I
love
do
it.
the same thing. Like I pray for that guidance, and you apply your consistency to that, to prayer and to talking to God also. And it's like, you don't have to have the roadmap like you did, like the structure that you did with, your previous company, because now you've been given the tools to just walk one thing at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do any therapy in all of that?
Oh yeah, I'm still going to therapy. I've been seeing my therapist, the same one, off and on for probably 8 years now. I've kind of always had anxiety, but the depression was definitely a newer thing, and so um, therapy has helped so much. But what I will say has really, really helped me is journaling. Um, I journal not every morning, but I try to. In the mornings, really just anytime that I'm feeling, so I'm an overthinker. I think about everything. I think and think and think, and I know that's like horrible, because then I'm like literally in this hole of thinking that I'm like, how did I even get there, and so when I write it all down, when I'm thinking and I'm overthinking, I write it down, and so I'm able to, it sounds so silly, and like I heard this before, until I was actually practicing it, like you don't really know what it means, but you write it all down, and then you can kind of pick apart your own thoughts. Like, no, that's actually not true. Like, it's not true that I'm a failure just because I'm in a season right now, a slower season. Like, actually, I'm rebuilding. I'm getting these characteristics that I never had, like patience. I'm learning patience, and I'm being humbled completely. I mean, going from the top of the company to starting over at zero income is really humbling, and so I've just learned about myself throughout that too, and journaling all of those thoughts and just getting it out there so it's not in your head anymore has just really, really helped me too.
I love that. And I love that you said that you question the thoughts, because that's
Mhm.
something that I had to do like early on in my journey in recovery. And that, like, I had to write down what my fear was, or whatever my, overthinking spiral was
Mhm.
write it down, and then write down on, an opposing side, like have a column of what the thought is and what the truth is.
Exactly.
I had to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. It's crazy what our minds can do. They can literally paint a picture that's just not true. It's so far from the truth. Um, but they're so powerful. And when you learn that your mind is so powerful, you can actually, use it to think good thoughts. Like, it's not cheesy to look in the mirror and say, I'm a freaking badass. Like, it's not cheesy to do that. It might feel like it at first, but like, you have to be your biggest fan. And if you're hard on yourself, if you're thinking yourself to death, like, who's going to be the one to lift you up and help you out? You have to start. And then
Yeah.
it just becomes like, when you fill up yourself, when you hear the word, like, you got to fill up your cup before you can pour onto others, right? You have to be full, and you have to feel full to give to others. And so when you are actually walking in your purpose, and I don't even know if I know what my purpose is, but all I know is that I'm not in a place that I'm not meant to be anymore. And so when that's the case, and you're around things that make you happy and fill you up with joy, even when there's stressors, even when you have some anxiety, you can still pour into other people. Like, I have my down days, but I'm open about them. I'm honest about them now. I don't try to work through it. I don't try to hide it and stuff it in. I'm like, no, you know what, girls, I'm having a hard day today. I'm going to kind of take it easy. I'm here if you need me. And then the next day you're good. Like, you don't have to keep hiding, you know?
Yeah.
It
I
feels
think
really good.
that vulnerability is the greatest connector. Like, that's, you can identify more with that than the hustle, because the hustle, you can't, only a select few other people can, strive to accomplish that. But being vulnerable and just being like, today's not the best day, but I'm here.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you're vulnerable, and you're able to share those moments, people confide in you. And I love that. I really genuinely love to be a friend, a listening ear. I'm a good listener. And so when people do share, like, thank you for sharing that. I know I'm not alone. Like, it just makes me want to share it all, you know?
I most certainly do. In doing this, I feel like I stripped naked and then got on a stage and then like announced for the whole world to come and watch and then took like a spotlight on all of my insecurities and flaws.
Yeah,
Like telling my story, like mainly just the ugly parts of my story. And then, but it takes like the shame out of it. It's like I was there, but now I know differently. So I choose differently. Like I'm in a different place.
exactly. Exactly.
So I do love I love your dedication to like when you love something, you shout it from the rooftop. I absolutely love that. Um, do you want to talk about the products that you're backing? Like,
So it's a store. It's an online store. It's a shop club, and it's just great, cleaner, greener, and safer ingredients. And it's a store of over 500 essentials. Like um, there's the cleaning line and the laundry line, and you've got your medicine cabinet and vitamins and supplements and makeups and skincares, and I mean everything that we're using all day, every day, anyways. Um, I'm just shopping online at this store. It's cheaper, it's beating inflation, it's American made, and it's cleaner and greener. So it just made sense for me, especially in the world today. People are really trying to save money in any way, and I know that more people are being open to the companies putting in nasty ingredients in all of our things that somehow are harming us for some reason. And so it just made sense to me. And I'm definitely newer in sharing this, but I've been a shopper myself here for about 3 years. So I'm pretty familiar, and we love it. We're slowly transitioning our home to as less toxic as we can, because there's no such thing as non-toxic. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of that.
yeah, I saw one of my friends that's a health coach. She posted this thing, talking about the carcinogens in sunscreen and then, in your laundry soap. And there was a time, I don't know if you remember Kevin Trudeau, like the natural cures they don't want you to know about. I feel like it was like around 2005. He was like this big like health nut, and he was like, they're lying to you, they're poisoning you, like they're poisoning your food, eat all organic. Like he put all this out. Well, I ate it all up. So there was a few years where I absolutely dedicated myself to be as clean as possible. And then life got lifey. I mean, from there I plummeted into the depths of alcoholism. So that kind of went out the window. But
Right.
like today, I'm pretty lazy despite my knowledge. But I feel like I keep getting these signs of like, okay, you know better. So now you can do better. So I appreciate when people put it out there because it's a reminder to do better, like give
Absolutely.
yourself better.
Yeah, people don't know. I didn't know until it's just one of those things. They don't put it out there. You'll see recalls, like just the other day that the Fabuloso were recalled, and they're still on the shelves. They're just at a cheaper price now. And it's
So
just really sad. People don't actually see it and listen to it. They're like, oh, well, that's much cheaper. So
I never heard that. I,
yeah, just did it. Yeah, last Fox 5 in Vegas.
mm.
They just put a link out just the other day. Fabulosos have been recalled all across the country. Yeah, for
So
having.
I'm down on the South Texas coast. So Corpus Christi is like down on that tip of Texas. And the people here, we get bad mosquitoes. It's like hot and humid in the summer. And I'm new here. I'm used to Vegas. I was there for 14 years. So it's hot here like Vegas, except 90% humidity and with
Oh,
mosquitoes. So people use, like my neighbors and stuff, use Fabuloso as a mosquito repellent. They like spray it around their kids and on their furniture and all, and I'm like, here,
wow.
as you're saying that, I'm like, oh no.
I'm gonna send you the link. I'll send you the link when we get off of this, just so you can see and look
I'm
at.
gonna share it just so people know, like, let's not.
Yeah, and no judgment. Like we have Cheez-Its, and I love my Diet Dr. Pepper. Like I'm never gonna be completely non-toxic. There's just no such thing. But like we're trying to avoid plastics. Like plastic in the microwave, that's not good for you. It you know burns off those chemicals. Just use more glassware and stainless steel, things like that. But you know,
Yeah.
slowly got to transition and that
Yeah. Yeah.
learn
It's
to
just,
go. There's a lot.
it's interesting because I feel like my biggest focus is like the internal, like non-toxicity. Like I try to to do like the internal detox of like the thoughts and the feelings and like loving the feelings. And then when I feel that way, it's kind of like filling your cup, is that's when I can focus
Yeah.
outward. And I did want to go back to that too. With when I talk about like filling my cup, I actually picture a cup. Like I don't know if other people do that, but that's how my brain works, to where I picture a cup and it's so full of like love and just all the positivity and like just the feelings that I feel so good that I want them to actually spill out onto everybody around me.
Yeah.
Not, it's not hot.
No, exactly. Yeah. Just the other day, one of my friends, we met in my previous company, and she's no longer there either, but she's doing her own thing. She's a mom of four. She's in Texas as well. Her husband works in the oil field, so he's gone a couple weeks at a time. And I could just tell she was really struggling, and she's really vulnerable online as well. And so I'm like, I knew she was struggling. So I just sent her some cookies, some crumble cookies just to her door. And like I would have, and she called me just sobbing, like, thank you. It meant the world to her. And I'm like, over cookies, it's like when you're good, you can you think of doing those small little things to help someone's day. But when you're not good, you don't. Like I never did anything for anyone like that when I was in such a dark place.
Mhm.
Um, I had to crawl my way out, and now I have to overflow myself, but it means I get to love on everyone else a little bit more.
I love that. I love it, love it. Um, excuse me. So as far as like the vulnerability, was that ever a thing when you were in your hustle culture? Like, did you ever show?
I did. I think that I don't want to say I was the first one to do it, but that's just kind of who I am. I'm a really honest person, and I don't really like to lie and cover up things. Like I just feel so icky when I do. And so I think during when I started to get burnt out is when I was starting to be a little bit more vulnerable and open with my mental health. But I would backtrack when I maybe wouldn't necessarily get the applause or, the pat on the back from some of the people closest to me. And so, you can't rely on them to make us feel good or make us feel confident in what we're doing. But at the time, I needed that. I wanted that. And I didn't get any of it. So I kind of stepped back. And I think that's kind of what put me in a hole as well, is just not being myself, feeling like I couldn't be myself. And I know that's a lie. I could have been, but I was just my thoughts. It's just it's the whole thing.
Yes, I totally get it.
Yeah. I just knew I promised myself. I wrote it in my journal. I said it out loud. I said it to my fiance. I'm like, if I am going back online, I will be nothing but myself. I will only be myself. I will be the fun, loving, the silly, the goofy, the humorous, the sarcastic, the really vulnerable Stacy. Like that's who I'm gonna be. And that's all I've been and I've found my people. You know, I'm I'm good. Like I'm just in a really good place because I'm myself. People appreciate that. I appreciate that. And it just feels really good. I wanted to just quit social media in general. Because I mean, there's still times I'll be scrolling and I'll be like, okay, I'm feeling funky. Like I need to not be on social media right now. Social media can do that to you. But it's just learning when to step away and learning like, okay, you start comparing, you have to kind of take a step back, be like, okay, no, 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 that's her life. She's doing great. I'm happy for her, but this is mine and I'm good. This is who I am, type of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely big for me with the podcasting, because I took this course with these other women, and so we're like supporting and lifting each other up. But there are times to where I'm like, well, why don't I have that many listeners, and she's not doing what I'm doing, so and then I'm like, this is so awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have a podcast in December. It was just an idea and a dream and a thought, and now I get to have these conversations. And
Yeah.
so I talk a lot about perspective. Like, how you look at things is how you're going to experience them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can change your perspective for sure. And I think people are stubborn to the idea of that, or they like being the victim, or, they like playing that role, but you can change your mindset with anything.
Yep. The idea is just how. You got to want to.
Hmm. Yeah. And if something's not working, if you're if you go and hang out with a certain group of people and you come home feeling sad and drained, you're going to have to stop hanging out with those people. You don't have to completely cut them out of your life, but you're going to have to change up your circle a little bit, or fill up yourself so that when you do go over there, you're not as drained. Like, things like that that you can do, that you can control. 'Cause you can't change anything. You can't change anyone. Can't make anyone do anything. There's no point. So just changing what you can, which your mindset you can change.
Yeah. So you talked about how important journaling is. Like, do you have any other super powerful things in your toolkit? Like, I heard
Um,
prayer and I heard journaling.
yeah, so prayer and journal for sure. A lot of times, like, you think of prayer. So I was raised Mormon. I
Me
grew
too.
up Mormon. You were?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. My family is still active. I'm not, but I I I have I went through a faith crisis, I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago. I just didn't want to be in a religion anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that religion means that you're close to God necessarily. I think that you need to have your own relationship with God. And so over the last couple of years, that's just been my focus, is a relationship with God and Jesus. And it's, when you say prayer, you probably think of like bowing your head on your knees type of thing, which, there's times I'll do that, like in my darkest days. But a lot of times my prayer is me writing in my journal, is me praying and writing it out loud, like thanking him for all I have, or just kind of putting myself in a place. Like, I'll say thank you so much for my thriving business, and it's not exactly thriving yet, but it will be, with my consistency, my faith, and being myself, it will be. And I know that. um and so, though, I mean, that a lot of my journaling is prayer. But something, I mean, moving your body, obviously that's going to help a lot. I didn't work out hardly at all during my darkest place I was in, because I was so stubborn. I'm like, I don't even want to go to the gym and see people, and this and that. And then it's like, well, you can work at home. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And so, like, all these excuses. But I've been consistent with moving my body last couple months, and I mean, that helps too. Like, gives you endorphins. You walk
Mhm.
out of there and you feel, okay, whew, that's done. I'm good. And it can literally be a 15-minute power walk on the treadmill. It doesn't have to be this huge weight training session.
Yep.
Consistent 15 minutes a day will get you much farther than an hour every other day for a couple months, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, I would say journal, prayer, moving my body, consistency. Um, yeah, just, but being honest with yourself. Like, if you're struggling, you take a day, obviously, take the time you need, but during that time, maybe do something that you love, or like fill up yourself, do your journaling, sit and watch a show, but don't stay there. We can't stay there. And I think I would give myself a little too much permission to sit and stay where I was comfortable, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
When I really needed to dive deep and figure out, like, okay, what do I want? Who am I? Like, where am I going? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm still in my journey. I'm learning every day still, but it's a 180.
Yeah. I don't think we ever get there. I don't know that we arrive and we're like, well, we're at the top,
Right. No,
you
there's
know.
no way. We're always growing and learning and changing, and the kids get older, so you have a new challenge there, you know?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's funny, my journaling, I started out with what am I to know today, God? And then I just flow
Oh,
from there. So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I was born in the LDS hospital, but we left Utah when I was 9. And we didn't like we just knew that, that God loved us. And I had the similar faith crisis. And then I found my own personal connection
Mhm.
that I fully rely on and
Yeah,
connect with. So that's I totally identify with that.
I love that. It's so
Me
good.
too. That's why when you were talking, I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, I love it. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, just recently, I mean, the world is kind of crazy right now. I don't know if I don't pay too much attention, to be honest. If I hear anything, it's from my fiance because he's all up in it, or my mom or something. But I just know that we need God right now, and He's the only one that can save us. And so, instead of being anxious about things, I'm just right here. Like, just tell me what I need to do, where I need to go, who I need to talk to, that sort of thing. Just guide me where I'm meant to go. That's I don't know if that's good, if I should be preparing another way, you know what I mean? But I'm like, no, he got me. And so it's a peaceful feeling knowing that we believe in that, and that he's really the only one who knows where we're going.
Yeah. And I can gauge how I feel on where I'm at. Like I couldn't do that when I was dulling all of my senses and my emotions, but where
Mhm.
I'm at now, like I can tell where I'm at in my connection and on my path because I can feel that it's right, or I can feel that it's maybe not right, like that intuition I feel is God given,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know.
you have to be open to that too. That's what I've learned. You have to be open to him, because for me, with my business, he was telling for 2 years. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was like, nope, nope, no way. Like, no way. Like, there's no, and then it just
And
kept
then
getting
there's
harder.
and you don't get punished for that, but there's consequences to our choices, to where it's like, okay, choose this, and you can continue to do this knowing that it's not what you want to do, but then you're not going to feel good about doing it the entire time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I walked into that conference, I was like, okay, I'm open to whatever. Like, I think officially, I was like, this is it. Either we're going all in or this really isn't for me. And so I was open to that. At first I wasn't for 2 years, but when you're open to it, things really can change for the better. Like, I was terrified up until that day I canceled my my account with my company. I was terrified.
I can't even imagine like canceling the account, not just not being active, but just
Yeah, no, it was our I was paying the bills. I mean, we were just saving all of his money, and like my income, we paid everything, and so it was like a huge thing. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, we'll just change. No, like, it's my livelihood. And I'll just share this real quick. Like, the one thing that like finalized this feeling, I was like, okay, are we sure? Are we sure? we got I printed off all of my 1099s, and there's this thing within the company that is everyone's goal is to hit the millionaires club. And before I had canceled my account, I printed off all my 1099s and my checks, and I calculated it. And up until that day, I was 8,000 away from hitting the millionaires club. And so it would have been one more paycheck than I would have been the millionaire in the millionaires club. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm not about to get recognition from a company that I don't stand behind anymore. And that was it. That was the final thing for me. I was like, dang. Like I dreamed of being in that club for years. And then it's like here, and I'm like, I don't even want it.
And that's the thing is we think that we want these things and we think that we know the plan.
Yep. Yeah. Nope. Instead of being in the Millionaires Club, I started all over.
And you're okay.
Yes. Much better.
Yeah, I love it. Do you feel like you have, I don't want to say, do you feel like, I know you said that you do have regrets in how you handled anything, but there's no looking back, I'm guessing.
No, there's none. When I left, actually, my very best friend blocked me.
Oh,
So, like, straight up blocked my number, blocked my social medias. I emailed them one time and got nothing back. Like, so it was just, it was like meant to be. Like, they haven't checked in on me. Like, so it's just one of those things. Like, and I feel fine, like it's fine. It was like,
wow.
okay, wow, these people really are showing their colors. I don't want to be around them anyways, like good. I mean, I wish the best. Like I truly do. Our families grew up together, I really truly wish the best for all of them. But no, I don't have any regrets again, other than maybe how I left with my team, the lack of communication, but no, I'm happy.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank
Like, I
you.
know
So
you're going to do great things.
yeah, thank you.
Continue to do great things, I should say, but your own great things instead of, for somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Do you feel like you have a superpower? Like,
No, definitely not.
no, I don't either, really. Vulnerability is my superpower. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. If
I
anything,
think you have that.
yeah. If anything, it would have to be that, I'm sure. I'm a really good listener. I think I do really well in the types of businesses I get myself into because it requires that one-on-one mentoring, and that's where I thrive. The one-on-ones because I get to know them. Um, they talk about themselves. They talk about their goals, and I get to help them. Um, and I love that. I love being a listener. I love being that mentor to just cheer somebody on. So maybe that, but
I
I
love that. Okay.
just
So if you had to pick one, like the most important lesson that you've learned or that you want to share with other people,
oh geez.
take your time.
Okay. With one thing, well, I think it would have to be that you've got to be open for change, for growth. You have to be open for it, like truly open, um, because when when you're when you're in a thing that you love and you think it's going to be the thing, right? Like maybe it's a marriage, you married somebody and you really think that it's them forever. Um, if they're treating you poorly or whatever the case might be, you've got to be open to what the outcome could be. For so long I thought I was open. I was like, okay, is this where I'm supposed to be? But I wasn't. Like I truly wasn't. Deep down, I knew that I was going to stay miserable unless it like slapped me in the face type of thing, which,
Mhm.
and so being open to a life that you may not have chosen, you know?
Mhm. I love that so much. That applies to me fully. Like I totally identify with that.
Yeah.
And your story shows that it gets better. My story shows it gets better than you
Uh,
could have ever pictured it.
right. Absolutely. never imagined myself here where I am today. But I never imagined myself as a young mom either.
Right.
And I did that just fine. I am a great mom and I love my kids. Um, yeah, I honestly thought I was going to be a lawyer. I graduated college and thought I was going to law school, but I had different plans, so just being open to the growth, to change, to a life that you didn't expect, because it can be beautiful and it will be if you're open to it.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it was a great talk. I loved it.
Me too.
Like a therapy session.
Right, it really is. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah, you don't know what it's gonna be, and then it just gets to be this beautiful talk that you don't know where it's gonna go, and
Yeah. And I really hope whoever needs to hear it listens.
I believe that that the people that need to hear these talks, it will find its way to them. I have to believe that to stay consistent and keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're doing great.
Well, thank you. Thanks again, Stacy.
Of course. Thank you.